Embrace Glycox or Regime. Coba kita embrace. Oh, digigit.
In the back, you boy! Fuck you! I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
Enter the Pembroke Hospital.
To taste a life, to embrace its most intimate secrets. Such a burden, such a divine sin.
Where is the hospital in? Waduh, motor.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I apologize, nurse. I needed some time to myself. This has been the longest and strangest night of my life.
That end should be of little concern, Doctor.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
I have a question.
I would like to ask a few questions first. What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
Ooh, how is it?
And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
Where is my
room? If you could
room?
point me in the direction of my room again, nurse.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last vacant office at the end of the corridor.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Nurse Crane. Good evening, sir.
So it is true.
Dr.
Famous
Tempat.
Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
You left East London?
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
Tell me about stuff.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no character traits.
What about the management?
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, But I must admit, he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office now and again.
Positive character.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Confess. Yes. So left. Tidak hubungannya. Bisa.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Kita Nur tadi kemana?
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun.
It's hard, doctor. Invisible enemy?
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Dapatkah
Do
hospital
you
ni
think this
kagak?
hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all already resigned.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Anyone stand
Is
up?
there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
No, ketemu. Speak up.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Sudah.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Mana dokter tadi? Dokter, mana Pak dokter? Ini siapa? Pak Security.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks,
Oh.
the ambulance driver for
Supir
this
ambulan.
shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
London.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
What is your
So what do you do
occupation?
exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Since
Situation.
you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
You said
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Maniac in the Garden of Good Evil. Smoking.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Wah, apa ini? Duitku, oh 102. Shotgun, ada shotgun. Nice. On the second floor,
Dr. Swansea is right.
then enter the
This
packet
place seems
garden.
perfect to conduct my research.
Prevent disease. Do not cook in the public. Wah, ini kayak corona, teman-teman. Spread the from the truth.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
You live in London.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Won't last
Nurse
forever.
Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
Get a
You
grip.
must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, Don't tell me you'll change that.
You're right.
You're right. When dealing with such a terrible disease, one must remain humble. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
ملتهود سبوت وملتهود.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Kita papa.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position... Am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Can I do anything?
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills.
No effect.
No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it?
Data.
Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Yeah, but
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers' trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
bullets gang now.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint. Not even criminals.
About Tom what?
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You are hero.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Despair?
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Corruption.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
The pain.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Wow.
Ooh. Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul. Or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even...
The Vampyr.
begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional?
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul. Or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Alcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Your enemies?
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Kita naik dulu ke atas. Ada namanya ruangannya. Nggak bisa. Find your office on the second floor. Terus mansi ini Jonathan Red.
It's locked, all right.
Bukan. Mana ya?
Not now.
I'm sorry. Masa ke ruanganku? DL Watch medical file. Status convalescence. Tentukan the patent phase have ribbon and disfigured by a bomb during the war. Often they use the stranger to defeat via FM to record the enter. Good serpentum.
It's locked. This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes.
Oh, no namanya.
Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Lumayan besar. Article on account. Ini adalah kesempatan yang langka dan hampir.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Nggak bisa. For example. Sodium hypochlorite solution.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Nggak tidur. Tapi upgrade. Bad lah. Ui. Apa ini? Coagulation. The vampire will contain the best blood, making them deficient. Pak. Seribu, dikit banget, mahal banget. Nah, ini aja. Confirm. The following naik. The major this event, the more left you take behind the district become. Jika distrik kamu seterusnya drop below the critical threshold, it will plunge into chase. Yes, for set for a district of it. Huh? Oh, ini dah statusku. Ada pencari darah. Okay.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
Oke, kita akhiri sampai sini. Kita lanjut besok. Dan vampir ini semakin seru. Dan kita akan mencari jawaban. Dan kita akan mengalahkan vampir yang baik dan vampir yang jahat. So, tetap nonton terus The Vampyr ini, channel ini. Jangan lupa like dan subscribe. Dadah.